Right now at 6, watching for snow in the valley with a blizzard in the Cascades.
That snowfall has been measured in at least 2 feet in the last 24 hours, and more is in the forecast.
Plus, an admission from Boeing and alarming questions about the tiny pieces that should have stopped a key part of the Alaska plane from blowing out in the sky.
We have not yet determined if they existed there.
And Oregon's governor marks a year in office.
We can deliver results.
Why she says it's a work in progress and what Portland's mayor is asking for now.
Thanks for joining us at 6. I'm David Molko, and we begin with that potent winter storm that is packing a punch across the Northwest. Right now in downtown Portland, it's 44 degrees, and we are keeping an eye on what's headed our way. While in the Cascades, they've been getting blasted with wind and snow. So let's get to team coverage. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri braving the blizzard up at government camp. But first to Chief Meteorologist Matt Safino. So Matt, this storm has already been big for the Cascades. What about the valley tonight?
Yeah, about 50 inches since last week up in the Cascades. And here's, speaking of the Cascades, Timberline right now, visibility has been awful. It's actually improved a bit at the moment. Only 20 degrees and 19 inches of new snow just since yesterday morning. Now for the valleys, what we're watching is this. It doesn't look like much, but there's a very compact area of low pressure forming right here. That's going to move into the Oregon coast tonight. Now, as it does, precipitation will go from showers to steady, widespread precipitation. And if the precipitation is heavy enough and the center of that low pressure is far enough south, then we have a nice cool northerly flow and the snow level will drop potentially all the way down to the valley floor. And it's not like we're getting a full Arctic blast that's going to ensure that it's cold enough for snow, but we've got the potential for it to get cold enough for snow as that heavier rain arrives. So that's why there's a winter weather advisory for the valley tonight. So it could be as much as 3 inches, or it might just be a trace and really not much of anything. And the most would be up in the hills above 500 feet. There's a better chance of getting sticking snow, but even the valley floor, not necessarily left out of this one. Then we watch Friday night and Saturday for another potential of snow and freezing rain, and that has the chance of being significant, like a lot of snow or a lot of ice or a combination of both. And the reason for that is yet another area of low pressure that will approach the coast as we go into Friday. Here it comes. I'll show it to you right here. And where it goes is down off the central Oregon coast. Now, if that position holds, notice these lines here. That indicates east winds. And this does bring some modified Arctic air into the Portland area. So that would be in place. This would throw the moisture up over the top of it, kind of a classic Portland snow setup. So we're watching that very carefully for late Friday night and Saturday, David.
A lot of uncertainty. Thank you, Matt. We'll see you in a few minutes here. You know what? We have seen some damage across the metro area from strong winds. This morning in northwest Multnomah County, a gust sent a large tree branch crashing onto a car as it was headed up Cornelius Pass just off Highway 30. It hit dead center in the windshield and did some damage there. Luckily, the driver and passenger were not hurt. By the way, we are seeing just an incredible amount of snow in the Cascades tonight. Government camp woke up to about a foot of fresh powder, and as you can see there, it continued coming down all afternoon, especially up at Timberline. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri has more from the mountains.
The snowfall up here at government camp has been measured in feet over the last 24 hours or so. 24 hours ago, we were looking at just rain showers. Now fast forward to tonight, and we've been seeing those snow showers really pile up. Take a look at this truck behind me. It's been parked here all night and all day. I would guess there's anywhere from 2, maybe 2.5 feet of snow on top of this truck. Again, not only has it been snowing really hard, we've been seeing very windy conditions. Gusts anywhere from 50, maybe 60 miles an hour at times. Along Highway 26, you're going to be coming out here. Make sure you have those chains on you and make sure you do know how to put them on. I know it might be kind of tough to see right now, but Highway 26 is covered in snow and more snow is in the forecast. There could be anywhere from 12 to 18 inches of new snow by the end of tonight. Add on another foot, maybe more than that, of snow heading into tomorrow. And that blizzard warning is going to remain in effect until tomorrow afternoon. At government camp tonight, Joe Ranieri, KGW News.
Good advice to stay put in the mountains. All right, to new developments this evening in the investigation into Alaska 1282, including what appears to be an acknowledgement from Boeing about its role in what went wrong on the 737 MAX 9 over Portland. Tim Gordon joins us now in the newsroom with the very latest.
Well, David, although it lacks specifics, Boeing CEO said they made a mistake after a door plug blew off that 737 MAX 9. He said it at the company's staff-wide safety meeting today. Meanwhile, the investigation into the Portland incident continues while all MAX 9s in the U.S. remain grounded. Some major news coming from the National Transportation Safety Board about the now recovered door plug that flew off an Alaska Airlines Boeing MAX 9 at 16,000 feet after takeoff from Portland on Friday. With investigators now confirming the 4 bolts that prevent the door plug from moving were no longer attached to the plug or the plane. So far, it's unclear if they were ever there. We found that both guide tracks on the plug were fractured. We have not yet recovered the 4 bolts that restrain it from its vertical movement, and we have not yet determined if they existed there. That will be determined when we take the plug to our lab in Washington, D.C.
Meanwhile, both Alaska and United Airlines say they've found loose bolts connected to door plugs on other MAX 9 aircraft, something that may give investigators a clue and regulators concerns. For now, all MAX 9 aircraft remain grounded, and a former senior air safety investigator with the NTSB is interested in what happens once inspections are complete.
I want to see how quickly not only the FAA but Boeing reacts to it and corrects the situation, especially if it's recommended, or at least it looks like it needs to be re-engineered, how quickly that will take place.
Everyone, please stay in your seats with your seatbelt securely fastened until you are told to stand up. Thank you.
This much is clear. Something went terribly wrong with Alaska Flight 1282 when the plug that covers an unused emergency exit blew out. Kelly Bartlett was sitting 3 rows ahead of the blowout. She had the teenager who was sitting in the blowout row join her after he lost his shirt due to the rapid depressurization of the cabin.
I just couldn't imagine the terror of what that must have been feeling like, because I wasn't in that row and I was so scared when we heard that boom and the mask came down, and that was scary alone. So I just cannot imagine what he or his mom were going through.
Once safely on the ground, the relieved teen named Jack suggested a selfie to mark the harrowing event.
And while the NTSB continues its investigation of the incident, the Federal Aviation Administration tweeted today that it is still waiting for Boeing to get airlines instructions for fully inspecting the entire MAX 9 fleet. In the meantime, cancellations continue. Alaska says 109 flights were canceled today, including 16 in and out of Portland.
Yeah, safety ahead of all else. Tim Gordon in the newsroom. Thanks, Tim. Let's get to your headlines tonight. A man has died in a stabbing in Northeast Portland this afternoon. This was just after 12:30 near Northeast Gleason and 126th Avenue in the Hazelwood neighborhood. Police say they found the victim inside a home. So far, police have not said what may have led up to the stabbing, but they are calling this an isolated incident with no threat to the public. No one has been arrested. The Washington Attorney General's office is reportedly taking a closer look into the death of a Portland woman who drowned in Klickitat County more than a year ago. That's according to OPB. Now, back in October of 2022, the body of 31-year-old Hannah Walker was found in a creek near Trout Lake. Her death was ruled an accidental drowning. However, Walker's family believes she may have been the victim of a homicide and questioned the sheriff's handling of the investigation. Sheriff Bob Songer has told OPB he has shared the investigative materials with the AG's office. There is a new name in the running for Portland mayor. City Commissioner Carmen Rubio announced her bid this morning, making her the 3rd member of City Council to enter this race. Rubio was elected to council in 2020 and over the last few years has spearheaded an overhaul of the city's clean energy fund. Fellow commissioners Mingus Mapps and Renee Gonzalez are also running for mayor. And Peabody and Portland police have begun clearing the dozens of RVs that are parked along Northeast 33rd Drive. Back in December, the mayor's office told KGW they plan to remove campers along both sides of that street. Outreach teams spent the last few weeks connecting with people who live here and offering them options.
They did offer me a spot in the tiny homes. I have until 4 to accept it, or 2 to accept it.
Are you going to accept it, do you think?
My mom's going to want to say yes. I hope so.
Well, the city says it expects that removal process will take at least 4 days. You know what? Speaking of our homeless crisis, Oregon's governor says the state has now exceeded its goals when it comes to opening more shelter beds. With 1 year in, Tina Kotek reflecting on the benchmarks her team set and the road to come. Blair Best has the details from Salem.
Over the past year, we've watched the governor prioritize the homeless and housing crisis. And on Tuesday, she extended the statewide homelessness state of emergency and shared what's been accomplished so far under that emergency order. Now, also on Tuesday, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler spoke out about this, but he shared somewhat of a different message. Take a look. On the heels of a packed morning, Governor Tina Kotek takes pause.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy New Year.
To mark 1 year since she took office.
The governor-elect of the state of Oregon, Tina Kotek.
Homelessness and housing among her top priorities since day one.
So today, on my first full day as governor,
when she declared a homelessness state of emergency.
Executive Order number 2302.
Since that day, preliminary data from Oregon's Housing and Community Services shows more than 1,000 low-barrier shelter beds have opened, exceeding the governor's goal by 432 beds. More than 1,200 people have moved off the streets. That's about 90 more than she expected. And nearly 9,000 people on the verge of becoming homeless did not. Another goal exceeded.
These outcomes are a critical threshold of progress and a proof point that we can deliver results.
The state also made headway on the addiction and behavioral health crisis, including sending state troopers to Portland streets in response to the fentanyl crisis there.
I want to be crystal clear.
Though in a separate media briefing Tuesday, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler suggested that the state support they've been getting hasn't gone far enough.
While I support the governor's Central City Task Force, and I appreciate the governor's involvement, the work that is being done to date is the work of this team. It was done without the support of others, including the governor initially.
The governor agrees more work needs to be done, so she signed 2 new executive orders, which extended the homelessness state of emergency, with new goals being released next month.
I need them to acknowledge, take responsibility for, and fund the restructuring and rebuilding of a mental health system in the state of Oregon.
As I cross my 1 year mark as governor, I'm reminded of that feeling that this is the time to dig deeper and keep going.
Now, you heard it there. The work is ongoing, and pressure is already building from the state's largest city ahead of the next legislative session, which starts next month. Now, Governor Kotek also talks of keeping up the pace, and she plans to do that by relying on the power of her emergency orders. In about a week, she plans to declare a fentanyl emergency in Portland, and it's a move that Mayor Wheeler supports. In Salem, Blair Best, KGW News.